Now let's move ahead and take a look at how to connect to SQL. So let's the customer says the data is available on SQL Server, not in a CSV file. Guys, remember that in this case, for learning purpose, I have installed the SQL Server and then SSMS in my laptop. But in most of the customers, they have the SQL Server installed on Azure Cloud. That also I will show it later point in time. Okay, but the idea is same. Okay. Now, what I will do is I will go to the SSMS. The SSMS I will show you, the tables whatever we create in a database, and with Power BI Desktop, how we can pull the data from our SQL Server table, right? The SQL Server table, how we can pull it into Power BI Desktop. Okay. For that, I just go to the SSMS. What is SSMS? This is what SSMS. SSMS is stands for. One second, I'll just. SSMS stands for SQL Server Management System. Okay, this is a very developer friendly. Most of them they sorry, I was in mute. Okay, is it audible now? Is it audible? Yeah, it's audible, right? Okay, cool. The SSMS stands for SQL Server Management Studio, and so SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, this is very developer friendly. Okay, that's the reason why it is more popular amongst developers. The reason is you don't have to use, you don't have to familiar with all the SQL syntax. You don't have to, you don't have to be familiar with all the SQL syntax. It generates the SQL queries, all the basic SQL queries, everything. Okay, for that purpose, this is very popular. But but make sure that first install SQL Server and need to install SQL Server. Next, you need to install SSMS. See, there is a problem with the internet connection is not stable. I'm not sure. I'll check with the Airtel tomorrow. Okay, so please bear with me. Okay, in case you don't hear my voice, just wait for a few seconds. Okay, first install SQL Server. Next, you need to install SSMS, which is nothing but SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, this is the one. And look here, this is what your SQL Management Studio. So what I will do is here. I'll just show you how to create a table. How many of you are familiar with SQL Server? How many of you are familiar with SQL Server? Aishu says no, Deepa says no. Okay, most of you are not familiar with the SQL Server. Okay, fine. So how do I create a database here? Pretty simple. Oh my God, these guys are literally screwing up my net connection here. So look here, this is what you are, so when you open up the SQL Server manual, like, and how do you open it? Press the window key, type SSMS. After installing the SSMS, Microsoft SQL Management Studio, type SSMS in the start button. You'll find you need to click on it. It will open up something like this. Okay. And here, what you need to do is, on the left side, you can see something like Object Explorer. Here, you will find the SQL Server name. And if if you expand it, you will find the databases and other things. And here you click on the databases, right click on it. You will find something called new database. Click on it. It will not take this much of time. I don't know why it takes. I think I opened many tools. Yeah, this is the yeah. So look here. This is the one. See, I just show you one more time. This is databases. Right click on it. Click on the new database. And here it will open up a window using which you can create the database in a very simple name. You can see database name here. Here I'm going to say retail 3 demo database. Okay, demo DB, something like that. Okay. So this is what my database name. I have given a database name here. And the next step is I just move this up and I'm going to hit OK. That's all. Look here. Next step is hit OK. That's all. It will take few seconds to create your database. What is your database name? Retail 3 demo DB. Okay, let's wait for some time. Look here, your database is ready. Retail demo 3 demo DB. That's all. Okay. So likewise, I have created already a database called detail demo DB2. And if you expand the plus icon next to the tables, you will find the tables already that I loaded it here. That creating the tables, loading the data, everything, we'll see it later. Okay. So now we have 3 tables out there: customer dimension table, product dimension, sales fact table. We'll try to load these tables into Power BI Desktop. Okay. So that is what the exercise we are going to carry out now. For that, you need to click on the Get Data and click on the SQL Server connector. We can see a lot of connectors, right? Because with Power BI, you can connect to a lot of different source systems. Look here. Here I click on the connect. Next to the connect, the drop down is there. You can click on it, and the database engine. Click on the database engine. This is what your SQL Server name. I just copy it and then paste it here in the server, and then retail to demo database, right? Retail to here the retail demo to. That is what my database name. You understood? See, this is what the database name, retail, sorry, not that one. This is your SQL Server name. This is what your database name. Okay. So on top of our Windows operating system, we have installed the SQL Server. On top of the SQL Server, we have created a database. In this database, we have 3 tables are there. You remember one thing very clearly, guys, bear with me. I have a mix of non-IT people. Okay, so they don't know what is all these things. I'll explain it in detail. I'll have to slow down. Okay, it's something like on top of MS Microsoft operating system, the SQL Server will get installed, right? On top of this, the SQL Server is kind of a server. Okay, it's a backend server. In this server, a single server can have multiple databases in it. Okay, we can create DB1, database 1, database 2, database 3. Likewise, you can create n number of databases, DBN. Similarly, each database can have multiple tables. Got it? This is the basic thing you should be aware of. So we install the SQL Server on top of the Microsoft operating system. And once you install the SQL Server, you can create as many databases as you wanted. And each database, you can create as many tables as you wanted. So in this case, we could see there are 3 tables are there. Now what I'll do is I just to connect to these 3 tables, the customer, dim customer, dim product, sales fact. In the Power BI Desktop, you need to click on the get data, right? You need to click on the SQL Server. You need to specify the server name, isn't it? How will Power BI Desktop know what is your server name, right? You need to specify the server name. Where can you find the server name? That is what I have shown you here. You need to click on the connect here. Click on the database engine. This is the one. Don't worry. Most likely, right, we will have at least 30 minutes time will spend, or 45 minutes in the next session to install it, everything, configure it. Okay, don't worry. So next one is the database. We have, like I said, a single SQL Server can have multiple databases. Which database you want to connect? You need to tell, right? It's something like, In a city, multiple streets are there. This is a city, multiple streets are there. In which street, what door number you need to tell. The same way, you need to tell what database you want to connect because multiple databases are there. Okay, so SQL Server name, database name. Next, connectivity mode. We have something called import directory mode. There are two types of connectivity mode. The import is a default connectivity mode. I'm going to hit OK button now. Now, Power BI desktop will connect to the SQL Server database called Retail 2 demo. That is what, right? Yeah, Retail demo 2 database. In that database, whatever the tables are there, it is going to show it here. Okay. If I click on this icon here, it will expand and show all the tables, dim customer, dim product, whatever the tables that we have seen it here, the same table we can see it there, isn't it? That means Power BI Desktop was able to connect to the SQL Server database called Retail Demo 2. All the tables are visible. So for the timing, I'm going to click on this checkbox against the dim product. On the right side, you can see the preview window for the product table. Whatever the column data that are available, the preview window on the right side will display. Next one is you can hit the load button. So in this case, I'm going to hit the load button. So I'm going to load only one table now. Remember that this time I'm loading this table with import connectivity mode. Don't worry, I'll show you the same thing with another table now. 14 rows got loaded. So the product dim table, dimension table from my SQL Server, it got loaded with the data locally into my Power BI desktop. So how can I see that? Click on the data view. And now we can collapse this. We can expand this one. Click on the dim product table. You can see that all the data that belongs to this table got loaded locally into my Power BI desktop. This is what called as import connectivity mode in SQL Server. Okay. Next one is get it and again SQL Server. And I just go back to the SQL Server. I just copy the SQL Server name again because I did not copy paste the notepad. Copy it. I'll just put it here. And then here I just type retail demo 2. This time also I'm going to use the import connectivity mode. I'm going to hit OK. This time I'm going to load only the customer dimension table. This one I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit load. So the customer dimension table, you can see that I just go here and customer dimension table data, we can see it here, right? Yeah, and good. So product dimension table and customer dimension table and sales W04 data also we can see that. But the sales W04 was a CSV file. The rest of them were table data. But how do I know whether it is a table or all the things? You can go to the model view. And if you keep the cursor over here, you can see import. But and if you keep over the cursor here, you can see it. But here you cannot see that. Instead, you can go to the report view. The transform data. Here you can click on the data source settings. Look here, sales W04 is a CSV file. And retail demo DB2 we have connected for the rest of the tables. That is what we can see it. Fine, this is my import connectivity mode. So when it comes to the SQL Server, we have used the import connectivity mode to load the data from the dim customer table and dim product table into my Power BI desktop locally. So look here, if I click on the dim customer, it shows the data here regarding this one. Next one is I'm going to hit the SQL Server. And this time again, I go here, right click on it, copy the 7. I'm going to use the direct connectivity mode. I'm going to use a direct query mode. I'm going to hit OK now. So here, I'm going to select the sales fact table. Remember that I have selected the direct query mode in this case. I am going to hit load now. This time what will happen is only the metadata will get loaded, not the data here. Okay, we can ignore this one, hit okay. That's a kind of a warning, okay, you can ignore it. See here on the right side, we can see the sales fact table. Can you all see it here? Yes, the sales fact table is there. Just a skeleton got loaded, which means the table name, column names got loaded. That is called metadata. When you go to the data view and when you select the sales fact table, it will not display the data because we have used the direct query mode. That means if you wanted to use any columns or this table's data, Power BI Desktop will query the SQL Server table as sales fact directly. Why we need to use this direct query mode? In real life scenario, in the case of data warehouse, we have something called dimension tables and fact table. There are some dimension tables, the volume of the records are less. But when it comes to fact table, the volume of the data is in general very, very, very high. You cannot afford to load the entire data of your fact table data into your Power BI desktop locally. You need a lot of storage. Petabytes and above volume of data will be there. What is petabytes and above volume of data? 1024 GB into 1024 GB is nothing but your petabyte, 1 petabyte. So let's say you have your hard disk capacity in your laptop is 1 GB. Likewise, 1024 laptops are required to store the entire data warehouse data. So to load, so not the data warehouse, the fact table data itself. To load one table locally into your Power BI desktop, you require 1024 laptops. Is it practical? No, right? So instead, we use the direct query option. We will just import the skeleton, the table name and column names. It is called metadata, data about data. If I say 24, definitely lost. What is this 24 is all about? Is this my age or is this your age or what the hell is this? Is a quantity or the sales? What is this, right? So 24 is a numeric value. If I say quantity, right, we are describing the value 24. We are giving the context to the 24 as quantity. Hence, the data about data is quantity is also data, 24 is also data. The data quantity gives the context to the value 24. Hence, it is called metadata, which one the quantity. Similarly, these columns are called metadata, table name is a metadata. Only the metadata get loaded here. That's what I said, Sagar. If the volume of the data is very, very huge, use direct query mode. Don't use import mode. It will literally slow down the performance. It is not practical. It will take weeks and weeks of time to load the data to petabytes and volume of data, right? That is not required at all. Supposing you wanted to select only the specific set of records, which comes out close to 5 GB or 3 GB, then you can load the data. Okay, that we will see it little later. How to fire a query, submit a query from Power BI desktop instead of querying it directly there. Is it possible for me to query it here? Yeah, a couple of members are saying that we can stop the session now. We'll continue this weekend. Yes, fine. Because tomorrow they have office and others have some status calls in the night time. What we will do is we will wrap up with this. Okay. So at this moment, we have covered how to connect to the SQL Server table, SQL Server to pull the table using direct query mode and the import mode. With import mode, we have seen that the data from the SQL Server table got loaded locally into my Power BI desktop. Whereas in the case of sales fact table, we have used the direct query mode, hence the data was not loaded locally. For example, yeah, I'll show you here. Yes, I'll just tell you this one. For example, I just create a visual. Look here, clustered column chart. Here's something called visualizations. I'm going to click on the clustered column chart. Here, what I will do is, here, I just drag and drop some columns here. This is my sales fact table. Location key. Okay, this is a location key. And then I'm going to drop the sales amount column here. Yeah, sure. Sagar, see, we are going to go in a very slow pace. I want you all to be very comfortable. Okay, we are not going to fast track. Okay, please remember that. Okay, yeah, this weekend we will do the installation. Okay, don't worry. Okay. That's the reason why I repeat more than one time. It may be annoying, but don't get me wrong. Okay, that is not the way of presenting things. But since I have a mix of people, please bear with me. I'll be repeating it more than one time. Look here, in this case, what I did, I just dragged and dropped the location key column in this visual. Which visual? This is the one I clicked on it. It got dropped here. This is called as clustered column chart, or you can say column chart. I dragged and dropped this column here directly, and then I dragged and dropped the sales amount column. Automatically, what happened? The location key column got placed in the x-axis. The sales amount got placed in the y-axis. Okay, right? So one text column, one numeric column. Okay, we can see that in Chennai the sales is more, and Delhi, next to Delhi it is good, and yeah, the rest of the thing we can see. Pune sales is, Bangalore sales we can see it here. So here in this visual, I just dragged and dropped the column, and since we don't have the data locally loaded here for the sales fact table because we have connected the direct query mode, how come we got the data here? So what happens is the Power BI desktop, it generated the SQL query. What is the SQL query? Yes, yeah, that is very much important. Okay, supposing one topic you are not able to understand today, okay, I will repeat it again in the next session. Okay, there is no point in rushing, right? I am against rushing. Okay, yeah, don't worry. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, so in this case, what happened behind the scene? The Power BI desktop, it smartly generated a SQL query. What SQL query? Select location key, comma, sales amount. But here the sales amount is sum of sales amount. Okay. You know very well, I explained you, right? All the numeric column, when you drag and drop it into visual, it gives you the total by default. Okay, fine. Sum from sales fact table. Okay, this query will be generated by Power BI desktop. Which one? This query. Okay. See, this one, this query generated by whom? Power BI desktop. And this query will be sent behind the scene by Power BI desktop to SQL Server. And this query will run against the sales fact table, which is located in your SQL Server itself. Simple analogy to understand this one is, see, the Power BI desktop in this case is like your Swiggy app. How many of you are aware of, I believe all of you are familiar with Swiggy app, right? Food delivery app. Swiggy or Zomato. Am I correct? I don't know in your location Swiggy is there or not. So Swiggy and it's kind of a Swiggy app, which one Power BI desktop. What Swiggy in Swiggy app, what you can do? Yeah, software as a service. Very good, right? The Swiggy app, what you do is you order. You can see only the menu, right? It's kind of a metadata. You can see the menu. You can order it. So what happens is Swiggy will send the order to hotel. So similarly, Power BI desktop, in this case, direct query mode, it generate the query, it send it to hotel. It's a hotel in this case is SQL Server. That query will be sent to your SQL Server. So what it means is, hey, sales fact table data, I have it, I don't have it locally. So you need to give me that data. So I'll give you the query. You generate, execute the query in the SQL Server, and then the SQL Server has to send the query back here. So this data came from SQL Server. So Power BI desktop queried the SQL Server. SQL servers, send the data back to this visual. Now the question is, hey man, don't tell me all the stories. Show me the proof, right? Show me the proof. Okay, I will show you that. Don't get angry on me. I just clicked on the view ribbon, and here you can see something called performance analyzer. You click on it, you'll find something like start recording. I'll explain it in detail later point in time. At this moment, just watch it. Okay. And I'm going to click on the refresh visuals, wait for some time, refresh it 1 or 2 more times. And then if you expand this one, the last one, you can see the DAX query. You can ignore it. Visual display, other, everything. Look here, direct query, right? Which means it uses this visual, use the direct query. And I'm going to click on the copy query. Still, you will not believe, you don't believe me. Don't believe me, okay? I'll just paste it here. Look here. See, a query, SQL query got generated, right? Did I write any query like this? Did you see that? No, right? In Power BI Desktop, I did not write anything like this. It generated a query like this behind the scene on our behalf. This is the query will be sent to your SQL Server behind the scene automatically. And then the query get executed here. The output of the query will be sent back from your SQL Server to Power BI Desktop. That is what we can see it here visually. Now I'm going to stop this. I'm going to close this. Don't worry. I will share the recorded video. You can pause it wherever it is required and practice the same thing. Okay. And anyhow, this weekend we will see the installation part. Don't worry. Okay. Guys, don't panic. You just tell me, Satya, this topic I'm not clear. Can you repeat it? I will repeat it. No problem. Okay. It's not about rushing and completing. Right. And also, I would suggest you to scale up from your side quickly so that we can finish up the course on time by watching my videos well ahead. Okay. Side by side. Got it? Okay, fine. So now you understood what is import kind of the direct query mode. In the case of direct query mode, the data will not get loaded locally because it is not worthwhile. The volume of it is very, very huge. You require 1024 laptop to load the data locally. That much volume of data is there. Smartly, what you do is, hey, I'll give you this query. You do that. See, for example, somebody is asking you to prepare food for 1,000 people in your house. You think it is practical to prepare food for 1,000 people in your house? Smartly, what you're doing, you order in a hotel. Hotel, they have a big kitchen. They will prepare it everything. Likewise, the SQL server is a big server. There, the query will be sent. It will get executed, everything. And already the data is there, right? You execute it wherever the data is there. That is the smart way. Again, if I duplicate the data by downloading it here, by downloading it itself, I need 1024 laptops are required. And how many days it will take? So already it is there. Go and leverage the existing data, send the query, execute the query there itself, send the data back to your Power BI desktop. So here, what happened? Sum of this one, right? We are not getting the entire. Let's you have 500 million or let's 1 billion records are there. You are not returning the 1 billion records. In Chennai, how much total says? So how many cities are there? 3, 6, 7, 8 cities. Only 8 values will be returned from your query from the SQL server. You just send the query. Sending the query will not take more than 1 second. How much space is required to run this query, right? Maybe, this much, right? Maybe it is of, 3 KB file. It'll send the 3 KB file to the SQL server. That query will get executed. And the output, it will return only the 6 records. But the volume of the data is very huge. It has to do the aggregation there itself. Send the data back. Right? Sending the query, getting the data back also very less. Hence, it is smart. This is called query folding, guys. In the case of direct query, this is what is happening. This is called query folding. Anyhow, we'll discuss query folding one more time in the upcoming weekend. Any questions so far? Anyhow, we will take a deep dive. What exactly import and direct query mode, and we have something else called live query mode. Right? Everything we'll discuss in detail in the subsequent session. Okay, don't worry. In the meanwhile, those who have login credentials, please log in and fast track it. That's what I'll see. I'll just tell you one.